This is the Go Maluku podcast.
Did COP26 say anything about indigenous health? Hell yeah. All right, let me recollect a little bit. Did COP26 say anything about indigenous health? Decision of the COP26 first. Let's go to cover the decision first. Paragraph 38, and I'm looking at holistic application of indigenous health. So not just health as in the right to health, but like indigenous health, I think also includes rights to land, culture, etc., because it's a holistic application of it. Decision in the decision text, paragraph 38 acknowledges the role of indigenous peoples. And further down the text, it actually talks about protecting ecosystems of indigenous peoples. And it can go further down the text. It says it acknowledges the role of indigenous knowledge in effective action. So that is all in line what we've been able to include in the cover text of the Paris of the Glasgow of COP26. Which is very important because it sets the intent. It sets the main decision of all the parties that were in Glasgow. Zooming in, there was obviously the side event, and that I witnessed, held by partial hybrid side event organized by Lauricha Institute for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Health, which announced a position paper that was very important in relation to the health of indigenous peoples in relation to climate change, and it sets I would say like a baseline. It sets a baseline for other indigenous peoples in terms of the positions, and also it helped shape some dialogues as well that were held in relation to health, lands, territories, and resources of indigenous peoples. So, and not just in Australia. That particular paper was also used in some bilateral meetings and in some conversations that were held with other institutions. And I used this paper as well when I was at there was a side event on health at the heart of climate action, and I mentioned this paper with all these medical experts, and I'm just a rights expert and on negotiations and not very fluent in health, but I did tell them, or I gave them an overview of the importance of not putting health into quarantine, not seeing it in isolation, but from indigenous people's point of view, that is connected to lands, culture, resources, and everything else, identity, that needs to be a framework. That the knowledge of indigenous peoples and indigenous peoples and the rights of indigenous people need to be respected, because the health of indigenous peoples is dependent on the livelihoods and and how the land thrives. If the land thrives, the health of indigenous peoples thrives as well. So that was one of the side event, and then some other side events that used that particular document as well, highlighting that to protecting and maintaining indigenous knowledge, lands, territories, and resources, as reflected in that document, is key towards indigenous health, good health in times of climate change, as well as during a pandemic. And then there's obviously the local communities and indigenous peoples platform, new work plan, prominent role for indigenous knowledge holders. So that also includes, there was also negotiated at length, and it's also a very good avenue towards yeah, advancing indigenous health under climate change. And then we haven't even talked about mental health yet, but that is something that we should keep on talking about.
My friends, I hope you enjoyed this. Please consider to subscribe, to comment, and to share this video on your socials.